Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. And we are in Babul-I'tikaf. Babul-I'tikaf. Chapter title is Mudaf Ilay. That's the reason for I'tikaf being majroor. I'tikaf comes from Ain Kaf Fa, meaning to cling to something. To cling to something. To be addicted to it. To be uninterruptedly busy with something, right? All of these things. To isolate yourself with something, right? The definition Islamically, wa huwa, and the huwa here lets us know that i'tikaf is a masculine word. Wa huwa luzumul masjidi li ta'ati Allahi ta'ala fihi. Luzum from lam zay mean. We've had this word before, like yelzimu, which would be like to necessitate. When something is necessary, then it must happen, for example, right? So here, the luzum has the same meaning though as ayn kaf fa, meaning to adhere to something, to cling and stick to something, meaning this is necessarily with that. So luzum al masjid, to stick to the masjid. Li harf jar, li meaning for, ta'atillahi. Li is a harf jar making ta'a majroor. Ta'atullahi mudaf ilay, lafdh al-jalala majroor, mudaf ilay, for obedience of Allah. Luzum al-masjidi, which is also mudaf ilay, li ta'atillahi, sticking to the masjid for obedience to Allah, or meaning ta'a, meaning acts of worship, fihi, in it. Ta'ala is the Most High for Allah. Fihi meaning in it, in the masjid. Sticking to the masjid for obedience or acts of worship for Allah, the Most High, in it. Wa huwa sunnah. Wa huwa, here again we know i'tikaf is mudhakkir, it is masculine. Wa huwa sunnatun, and it is sunnah. La yajibu, it is not obligatory. Illa, except bin nadhar, except for an oath. Meaning, if you make an oath that you're going to make i'tikaf, then it becomes obligatory. Other than that, huwa sunnah, la yajibu. Wa yasihhu min al-mar'ati fi kulli masjidin. Yasihhu from sad ha, like the word sahih. Yasihhu meaning it's correct. When a hadith is sahih, the hadith is correct. We usually don't give it that word. We usually say it's authentic. However, it's authentic because the chain is connected and therefore all of it's correct. It's not mistaken. There's no illa in it. There's no sickness or weakness in it causing it to be something that's not correctly attributed to the Prophet ﷺ. But when it's sahih, then it is correctly attributed to the Prophet ﷺ. If you are asked a question, your answer is either going to be sahih or khata. It's going to be correct or incorrect. وَيَصِحُّ مِنَ الْمَرْأَةِ, and it is correct min al-mar'ati, from a woman or from the woman. Fi kulli, kulli is majroor after fi kulli masjidin. Masjidin is majroor because it is mudaf ilayh. Everything that comes after kulli is majroor mudaf ilayh. So we say وَيَصِحُّ مِنَ الْمَرْأَةِ, majroor after min. This fatha here is for reading purposes. That fatha there is for reading purposes. Otherwise it should be a sukoon, but we can't have two sukoons meet each other, so therefore they put that fatha there. وَيَصِحُّ مِنَ الْمَرْأَةِ فِي كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ, and it's correct from a woman in every masjid. وَلَا يَصِحُّ مِنَ الرَّجُلِ, and it's not correct, there's la being a negation here, it's not correct مِنَ الرَّجُلِ, from the man, إِلَّا, except فِي مَسْجِدٍ, except in a masjid. تُقَامُ فِيهِ الْجَمَاعَةِ. Al-jama'atu here is our fa'il. It's the doer. Tuqamu is a majhul, passive verb, meaning to establish. Like we say, قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ, right? إِقَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ, establish. Here, tuqama or tuqamu fihi al-jama'ah, that the jama'at, the congregational salat, tuqamu, is established fihi, in it. For instance, sometimes, and to us we say, what do you mean? That maybe in the West it doesn't make sense. What do you mean a masjid that the jama'ah is established in it? In the Muslim world, there are masajid, for instance, in the marketplaces. There are masajid, for instance, on the road. They're called Masjid al-Tariq, like a masjid that's on the side of the road on the way from one city to another. There's a masjid. Not always is the congregational salat established in it. Right? For instance, in the mall, here, every mall has a masjid, if not many masjids. Right? For Fajr, Allah knows best if they make Fajr in congregation there. Now, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, the mall is open. But Allah knows best at 4 o'clock in the morning, are there any workers there to make the congregational salat? So therefore, it wouldn't be considered a masjid permissible for a man to make i'tikaf in, because the jama'ah is not established there. Wa i'tikafuhu, and his i'tikaf, fi masjidin, in a masjid, tuqamu fihi al-jumu'atu afdal, in a masjid in which al-jumu'ah is established. In it, afdal is better. So far, we've learned a few things. Number one, the meaning of i'tikaf. وَهُوَ لُزُومُ الْمَسْجِدِ لِطَاعَةِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى فِيهِ. It is sticking or clinging to the masjid in order to do obedience or acts of obedience to Allah in it. وَهُوَ sunnah. It's sunnah. لَا يَجِبُ. It's not obligatory. إِلَّا بِالنَّظَرِ, except for an oath. وَيَصِحُّ مِنَ الْمَرْأَةِ فِي كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. And a woman can do it in any masjid. And there's also a book and this could be referring to that. There's a book talking about the masjid of the house, that everyone should have a masjid in their house. Right? You have a place in your house which is for salah. When the kids go there, they know this place here is not for throwing the ball and screaming and yelling and playing. This is the masjid. This is where we come in from the obligatory prayer. We make our sunnahs in it. We make qiyam al-layl in it. We read Quran in it. We have a place in our house set up for the worship of Allah. It could be referring to that. Right? And the reason why a man it's not correct for a man to make salat in the masjid, except the masjid where the congregation is established in it, because the man has to make salat in congregation. And if he has to leave that masjid, then when he's making i'tikaf, he's already planning to leave. واعتكافه في مسجد تقام فيه الجمعة أفضل, and praying in a masjid where Jumu'ah is established is even better, because a person is usually not going to make i'tikaf longer than 10 days, and even if it started on a Friday, then he would miss 2 Jumu'ahs, and missing 3 Jumu'ahs is what's haram, right, without an excuse. So he wouldn't miss 3 Jumu'ahs. So it's better for him to make i'tikaf in a masjid where there's Jumu'ah, but if not, then it's acceptable. Any questions? Lughatan?
Lughatan?
Yeah. From the aspect of the language. Why this is majroor, why this is that, why this is that. وَمَنْ نَظَرَ الْإِعْتِكَافِ, and whoever made an oath for i'tikaf. What did he make an oath for? What did he promise? i'tikaf, مفعول به منصوب. أو الصلاة. Oh, here has a sukoon on it, but because this first sad, right, 2 sukoons, we put our kasr there for reading purposes. أو الصلاة, he nadara salata, he made an oath for salat, مفعول به منصوب, في مسجد. ومن نظر الاعتكاف أو الصلاة في مسجد, whoever made a promise or an oath. Promise is not right, it's an oath. For i'tikaf or salat in a masjid. Falahu, then for him. Fa is then, la is for, who, him. Fi'lu dhalika, performing that, which is really mudaf ilay, but dhalika never takes a kasra, so you won't see it. Fi'lu dhalika, doing that. Fi ghayrihi, in other than it. Fi ghayrihi, in other than it. إلى المساجد الثلاثة, except for the 3 masajid. That means إلا أنه نظر الاعتكاف في المساجد الثلاثة, except for the fact that he made an oath in the 3 masjids, meaning Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina, and Masjid al-Aqsa fi al-Quds in Jerusalem. If he makes an oath to make i'tikaf or salat in any masjid, فَلَهُ فِعْلُ ذَلِكَ فِي غَيْرِهِ, then he can do it in any other masjid. إِلَّا الْمَسَاجِدَ الثَّلَاثَ, except if he made an oath for those 3 masjids. The scholars say, and what he's saying here is because the reward for salat in masjids. The reward for salat in masjids besides these three is all the same. Meaning the reward in the masjid in New York is just like the reward in the masjid in St. Louis, just like the reward in the masjid in Denver, just like the reward in the masjid in... They're all masjids. Whereas the masajid al-thalatha, the three masjids, and they have a specific greater reward. فَإِذَا نَظَرَ ذَلِكَ, so if he made an oath for that, فِي الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ, in Masjid al-Haram, he made an oath for i'tikaf or salat fi Masjid al-Haram. لَزِمَهُ فِيهِ. Lazima, we said that means necessary. Then it becomes necessary for him fihi, in it. Meaning if he makes an oath for salat or i'tikaf in Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, he must do it. Lazimahu fihi. He must do that. Right? وَإِن نَظَرَهُ فِي مَسْجِدِ الْمَدِينَةِ. But if he made an oath in the Masjid of Medina, meaning the Prophet's Masjid, فَلَهُ فِعْلُهُ فِي الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. فَلَهُ, then for him, فِعْلُهُ is doing it, فِي الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ وَحْدَهُ. Then he can do it, meaning he can do it in the Prophet's Masjid, because he made the oath for that, or he can do it فَلَهُ فِعْلُهُ فِي الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ وَحْدَهُ, or he could do it in Masjid al-Haram only, either in the Prophet's Masjid or Masjid al-Haram in Mecca. Why? Because Masjid al-Haram has more ajr. Praying in Masjid al-Haram has more ajr, so he can move up to Masjid al-Haram, but he cannot go down to any other masjid because every other masjid has less ajr. وَإِن نَظَرَهُ فِي الْمَسْجِدِ الْأَقْصَى, and if he made an oath for it in Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem, فَلَهُ فِعْلُهُ فِيهِمَا, then it's permissible for him, or then it's for him to do it in them too, meaning Masjid al-Haram or Masjid al-Nabawi. He can do it in either in Masjid al-Aqsa first, or he can do it in Masjid al-Haram or Masjid al-Nabawi, because the ajr in them two is more than Aqsa. But everything else besides Aqsa is less than that. Any questions? وَيُسْتَحَبُّ لِلْمُعْتَكِفِ, and it is recommended لِلْمُعْتَكِفِ, for the person in i'tikaf. The one who makes i'tikaf is called al-mu'takif. Al-ishtighalu bil-qurab. Al-ishtighal is from sheen, ghain, lam. Shughul, all of this means to be busy and occupied. Al-ishtighal, busy and occupied. Bil-qurab. Qurab is like from qaf, ra, ba, meaning something close. Qurab are those things which draw you closer to Allah. Those things which draw you close. You should al-ishtighal bil-qurab, busy and occupying yourself with those things which draw you closer to Allah. Wajtinabi, right? Wajtinabi from jeen, noon, ba, meaning avoiding and stay away from ma la ya'nihi min qawlin aw فعل ما لا يعنيه. What? Ma here is what. La is the negation. يعنيه from Ain, Noon, Aleph, Maksura or Ya, from i'tana, or like this meaning to be to be careful or concerned with. La ya'nihi, it does not concern him. We read the hadith when we read the 100th hadith. We read, it said, min husnul islam al-mar'i and yatruk ma la ya'ni, or tarkuhu ma la ya'ni. His leaving from the good of a man's Islam is that he leaves alone which does not concern him. Ma la ya'nihi, what does not concern him. Wajtinabi ma la ya'nihi, and he stays away from, meaning he's busy with staying away from what doesn't concern him. Min qawlin aw fi'lin, from statement or action. Qawl, from qala yaqulu qawl, statement or fi'lin, action. ويستحب للمعتكف is recommended for the one in i'tikaf al-ishtighalu bil-qurb, busying oneself with what is, or being busy with what draws one close. Wajtinabi ma la ya'nihi, and staying away from what doesn't concern him. Min qawlin aw fi'l, aw wa fi'lin, not aw but wa fi'lin, from statement and action. Any questions?
That used to happen. The one yesterday, but the other day, when they used to happen.
No.
It used to happen. Because I was saying I thought it was, yeah, it is. It was right. Yeah, used to happen. Because of the time the same seeking.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Nah. Just ain't got nothing on it.
ولا يخرج من المسجد إلا لما لا بد له منه. ولا يخرج, and he doesn't go out. من المسجد, from the masjid. Illa, except. Lima, for what? Li, for. Ma, what? Illa lima, except for what? La budda. This phrase means like no doubt. No doubt, or for sure, whatever, something along those lines. La budda lahu minhu. There is no doubt except for what? No doubt, meaning for sure he need. Lahu, for him. Minhu, mean that thing that he needs. Lahu is for him, the person, the mu'takif. Minhu is that thing that he needs, right? Minhu, meaning he doesn't go out except for something that he definitely needs. Illa an yashtarita, except if he makes conditions, from Shin Ra Ta, shart. Shart, like shurut as-salat, right? Ish yashtarita, except for if he makes a condition. Meaning if he says, look, I'm gonna make i'tikaf, but I have to go to work. Some of the scholars, they allow it. They say, even though the asl is that he stays there, he says, look, I gotta go to work. I can't make i'tikaf at all if I am forced to be there for 10 days in a row. I'm not gonna be able to make i'tikaf. However, if I can stay there, get up in the morning, make salat, and go to work, come home, come right back to the masjid after work. No problem, right? Because making i'tikaf for some time is better than not making it for any time. Illa an yashtarita, except if he makes a condition. Wala yubashiru imra'atan. Wala yubashiru. Yubashiru means this word here, bashiru, from ba, sheen, ra. It means to touch, right? To touch, meaning in a sexual manner. Wala yubashiru imra'atan. Maf'ulun bihi, mansub, imra'atan. He doesn't touch a woman with sexual whatever, right? However you want to say it, right? That kind of touch, an affectionate touch, right? وَإِن سَأَلَ عَنْ مَرِيضٍ, and if he's asked about a sick person, أَوْ غَيْرِهِ فِي طَرِيقِهِ, meaning he went out to go to the bathroom, right? وَإِن سَأَلَ, and if he asked عَنِ الْمَرِيضِ, about a sick person, if he asked about a sick person, أَوْ غَيْرِهِ, or other than him, فِي طَرِيقِهِ, in his way, meaning on his way to work because he made the condition, on his way to the bathroom because he has to go outside to go to the bathroom, or he went home for a minute in order to take a shower because they're allowed to take a shower. You don't have to go 10 days without a shower, right? So if he went somewhere out of the masjid to take a shower, use the bathroom, get some food, because it might be necessary. He might be single, might not have anyone to bring him food, so he has to go out to get it. It's necessary. La buddu, or la budda lahu minhu. No doubt he has to do it. He has to go out and get some food. He has to go use the bathroom. He has to take a shower. If while he's doing that, he asks about a sick person, or غيره, or other than him, في طريقه, on his way to do those things, he asks about it. There's no problem with that, basically, right? وَلَمْ يُعَرِّجْ إِلَيْهِ وَلَمْ يُعَرِّجْ. لَمْ يُعَرِّجْ. يُعَرِّجْ is medzum after lam. This comes from ayn, ra, jeen. We know the word mi'raj, the same root. Mi'raj, where he went up to the heavens. The Prophet ﷺ went up. But yu'arriju here is form 2. Form 2, which means to go over and to stop over and to pull over. So meaning, if he's on his way from the masjid from point A to point B, something la budda lahu minhu, something no doubt he has to do it. Bathroom, shower, food, whatever the case might be. He makes the condition. Yashtarita, he made a condition that he would go to work and come right back. On the way, he asks about a sick person or other than him. وَلَمْ يُعَرِّجْ إِلَيْهِ, but he doesn't turn off to go visit that sick person or that other matter. Jaz, it's permissible. From Jim Wow Zay, Jaza Yajazu, meaning it's permissible for him. Permissible for him to ask about those people as long as, because he's supposed to be busy with i'tikaf. He's not supposed to be, he's supposed to be busy with ta'atillah. He's not supposed to be busy with hey man, did so-and-so ever finish building this, 69? Oh yeah, he finished it. Oh, then I'm going to stop by and see it. No, you're in i'tikaf. You're busying yourself with ta'atillah, the worship of Allah. So if you went outside, there's no stopping over to see so-and-so 69 Camaro he just finished building. Right? This is because you're busying yourself with the worship of Allah. You can ask about it as long as you walam yu'arrij ilayhi, as long as he doesn't turn off and stop over and go to it, then this is permissible. Right? Any questions?
لا.
Which means at the same time, and this is something bad that the Muslims do anyway, when they sit in the masjid between the salawat, they get on their phone and look at the news. The masjid is for the news of the akhirah, heaven and hell, man. It's not for the news of, you know, Donald Trump versus somebody and, you know, volcano in Hawaii. It's not the news for that. You know what I mean? The news in the masjid is for the hereafter. And we shouldn't be playing video games and buying and selling on eBay. Or I've been trying to buy this thing, and you buy it on eBay. Buying and selling in the masjid is haram. Buying and selling in the masjid is haram. So doing all these things, you know, then these things are not from busying yourself with al-qurab, those things which draw you closer to Allah. Right? اقرأ لنا يا أبا طاهر.
باب الاعتكاف وهو لزوم المسجد لطاعة الله تعالى فيه، وهو سنة لا يجب إلا بالنذر، ويصح من المرأة في كل مسجد، ولا يصح من الرجل إلا في مسجد تقام فيه الجماعة، واعتكاف في مسجد تقام فيه الجمعة أفضل، فيه جمعة أفضل. ومن نظر الاعتكاف أو صلاة في مسجد فله فعل ذلك في غيره إلى المساجد ثلاثة، إلا مساجد ثلاثة، فإذا نظر ذلك في المسجد الحرام لازمه فيه، وإن نظره في مسجد المدينة فله فعله في المسجد الحرام وحده، وإن نظره في المسجد الأقصى فله فعله فيهما. ويستحب للمعتكف الاشتغال بالقرآن واجتناب ما لا يعنيه من قول وفعل، ولا يخرج من المسجد إلا لما لا بد له منه، إلا أن يشترط ولا يباشر امرأة، وإن سأل عن المريض أو غيره في طريقه ولم يعرج إليه جاز.
نعم. يلا عبد الله.
باب الاعتكاف وهو لزوم المسجد لطاعة الله تعالى فيه، وهو سنة لا يجب بالنار.
لا ها؟ Say that again. Say that again.
بالنار.
نعم. لا يجب إلا بالنظر.
بالنظر ويصح من المرأة في كل مسجد، ولا يصح من الرجل إلا في مسجد تقام فيه الجماعة، واعتكافه في مسجد تقام فيه الجمعة أفضل. ومن نظر الاعتكاف والصلاة في مسجد فله فعل ذلك في غيره إلا المسجد الثالثة فإذا نظر ذلك في المسجد الحرام لازم زيمه فيه وإن نظره في مسجد المدينة فله فعله في المسجد الحرام وحده وإن نظره في المسجد الأقصى فله فعله فيهما ويستحب للمؤتكف الاشتغال بالقراب واجتناب ما لا يعنيه من قول وفعل ولا يخرج المسجد.
Abdullah, I can't hear you. There you go.
I can hear you.
I told her anytime I type, I can't hear. As soon as it comes, as soon as I type it, it comes right back. As soon as I write it.
Okay, where I need to, where you want me to start in at?
I don't know. Say which Jinabi. I'm not sure where I stopped, but right there, I guess.
Okay. واجتناب ما لا يعنيه من قول وفعل ولا يجروه ولا يخرج من المسجد إلا لما لا بد له منه إلا أن يشترطه ولا يباشر امرأة وإن سأل عن المريض أو غيره في طريقه ولم يعرج إليه جاز.
No. Babu Zakat al-Fitr. Babu Zakat al-Fitr. Babu Mudaf Zakati Mudaf ilay Majroor. It's also Mudaf. Zakat al-Fitri Mudaf ilay. Babu Zakat al-Fitr. This is actually Bab al-I'tikaf was the last section from Kitab al-Siyam, the book of fasting. This bab is actually from Kitab al-Zakat, but I included it in here because it's related to fasting. We learned inside of Kitab al-Siyam who fasting is obligatory upon. And we learned how do we know when a Ramadan comes in? And we learned when Ramadan comes in inside that chapter. And we learned who it's permissible for him to break his fast. Those categories, those 4 categories of people, it's permissible for them to break their fast. And we learned how they make it up, if they make it up. And what about the rest of the people who break their fast? How do they make it up? And what happens if Ramadan comes, the next Ramadan, and they still haven't made it up? what do they do then? Right? And we learned about the way of breaking it if you had sexual intercourse. The way of making that up or taking the kafara for that, the expiation for that, is different than any other type of breaking it, right? And we learned, let me see, let me look. Okay, if he didn't make it up for the next Ramadan, right? We learned about if he didn't do it out of negligence, or he did it without or with an excuse. He didn't make it up with an excuse, or he didn't make it up out of negligence, right? And we learned about what is the meaning of breaking the fast: eating, drinking, sniffing something, right, which reaches, or anything which reaches the stomach, right, by any means that takes place, or forcing oneself to vomit, or masturbating, or kissing until one either, or touching until one either ejaculates or has pre-sperm, right? Or he looks at a woman until he ejaculates, or the one who does hijama and the one who gets hijama and the one who does it to him, right? Except for the person who does it out of forgetfulness or he's forced to do so. We learned all of these rulings. What breaks the fast? What happens if you do it intentionally? What happens if you do it unintentionally? All of these things, right? We talked about what if something accidentally flies into their mouth, like a fly or some dust, or while he's making wudu and he sniffs water in his mouth and his nose and it reaches into his throat, right? Or if he thinks about a woman and ejaculates, or if he puts medicine into his penis, or he has a wet dream, right? Or if he's forced to throw up, and these things don't break the fast, right? Then we learned about what happens if a person fasts, if he missed the fast. We also learned earlier that about the prisoner, and we learned about the person who breaks the fast, thinking that it's Maghrib. He thinks it's Maghrib. He's not sure, but he thinks it's Maghrib. What happens, right, to him? And what about the person who wakes up not sure if it's daytime yet, and so he eats, but it's really Fajr time, right? And then we talked about the best of fasting as far as voluntary fasting, the fast of Dawood, fasting one day, breaking fast one day. And the best of fasting after Ramadan is the month of Allah, Al-Muharram, Shahrullah Al-Muharram. And then the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, and Sitta min Shawwal, the day of Ashura, right? The day of Arafat for the one not making Hajj, right? That the day of Ashura is an expiation for 1 year, the previous year, and the day of Arafat is an expiation for 2 years, the year before and the coming year. It's also recommended to fast the white days, and Ithnain wal Khamis, Monday and Thursday, right? And the one who starts his fast, he's fasting a voluntary fast, he's the Amir of himself. He can fast if he wants, or he can break his fast, and there's no making that up. Likewise, the rest of the voluntary acts, except for Hajj and Umrah. If a person starts and they make ihram for Hajj and Umrah, whether it's obligatory or voluntary, they must make that up. And the Prophet ﷺ prohibited us from fasting 2 days, Yawm-ul-Fitr wa Yawm-ul-Adha, right? And as well as the days of Tashriq, Ayyam al-Tashriq, those 3 days following Eid al-Adha, and except for the person who made a tamattu' hajj. He made the type of hajj where there's a hajj and an umrah together in it, but a space in between them, and he didn't find a sacrificial animal, then it's permissible for him to fast on the days of Tashriq to make up for that. Right? And then we had a sentence which didn't fit inside of there, which is Laylatul Qadr fil Ashr al-Awakhir min Ramadan. That the night of power is from the night of power is from the last in the odd of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And then we had Bab al-I'tikaf, which is that is sticking to the masjid, and we just read that, right? So now Abdullah went, and I don't know where he went, but we included this Bab as Zakatul Fitr because basically we know everything there is about Siyam in a general sense. Babu Zakat al-Fitr, the chapter of Zakat al-Fitr. وهي واجبة على كل مسلم ملك فضلا عن قوته وقوت عياله ليلة العيد ويومه صاعا. Zakat al-Fitr is feminine. Zakat has that time marbuta, right? So it's here, right? Zakat al-Fitr. وهي واجبة. واجبة meaning obligatory. على كل مسلم, upon every Muslim. Kulli is majroor after ala, Muslim is majroor after kulli mudaf ilayh. Right? All simple. It's obligatory upon every Muslim. Malaka fadlan. Malaka, he owns, or he owned. Fadlan. Fadlan here is like from the word afdal, right? Meaning virtuous or better. But fadlan, right? Fadlan here means extra. Extra. He owns extra. He owns more. More than an qutihi. Fadlan an qutihi meaning more than qutihi. Qut is his nourishment. His nourishment. His qut is his basically his food. His food, his nourishment. Right? وَقُوتِ عِيَالِهِ, and qut iyalihi from ayn, waw, lam. You would look this up, ayn, waw, lam, meaning his family. Ayal is like the word ahl, right? Ayal is like the word ahl, meaning the family. Fadlan an qutihi wa quti ayalihi. Malaka, he owned. Fadlan, more or extra. An qutihi wa quti ayalihi. He owned more than the nourishment or food, his food and the food of his family. Laylatul Eid wa yawmahu, the night of the Eid and its day. The Eid here, yawmuhu, is referring to Eid. Its day, sa'an. Sa'an, this is a sa' is a measurement of food. A sa' is if you take my hands and I put them together like this. I cup them together. Right? I cup my hands together like this. This is a mud. Whatever fits inside of my two handfuls like this. They're side by side, cupped together. Whatever fits in there is called a mud. 4 of those is a sa'. 4 of those is a sa'. Right? Now, people like to go around saying what that measures and what that equals and all of that, and how many grams. I personally don't like to do that just because the Prophet ﷺ didn't give us the weight. He gave us a volume, right? Fadlan an kuti. So the person, it's obligatory upon every Muslim who owns more than what he and his family need for the night of the Eid and its day. Sa'an. That's what's obligatory. A sa'. A sa' is obligatory. Right? Meaning, if you have more food than you will need to eat that night and the next day of Eid, then you owe zakat al-fitr. Hiya wajibatun alayk. Clear?
No.
وَقَدْرُ الْفِطْرَةِ صَاعٌ. And the amount of the fitra, meaning the amount of the zakat al-fitr here. It's called, here he's calling it al-fitra, meaning zakat al-fitr. The amount. Qadrun is the amount. Right? Like divine decree. Everything is given an amount. Everything is given a decree. The qadr al-fitrati, the amount, mudaf mudaf ilay, of the zakat al-fitr, sa'un, is a sa'. Min al-burr. Al-burr is wheat. Right? But let me make sure, because I could have sha'ir could be wheat. 1 second. No, burr. I'm gonna make sure. Is wheat, yes. Burr is wheat. O sha'ir. Sha'ir is barley. Barley. Right? O daqiqihima. Daqiq means flour. Daqiqihima, the flour of the wheat or the barley. So it doesn't have to be the fresh plant. It can be daqiqihima, the flour of them too. O sawiqihima, or the dough. Sawiq would be dough, like the dough already made from them. O sawiqihima, or the dough of them too. O min tamri, or from dates. Tamri is dates. O or was zabib. Zabib from zay ba. Zabib is raisins. Right? فَإِن لَمْ يَجِدْ. So if he doesn't find it, أَخْرَجَ مِنْ قُوتِهِ أَيِّ شَيْءٍ كَانَ صَاعًا. So he doesn't find those things mentioned. He's not able to find those things. Al-burr, wheat. Sha'ir, barley. Daqiqihima, the flour of them too. O sawiqihima, the dough from them too. O min tamr, o was zabib, or dates and raisins. فَإِن لَمْ يَجِدْ. If he doesn't find it, أَخْرَجَ مِنْ قُوتِهِ. He takes from his food, from his provisions, from his nourishment. أَيِّ شَيْءٍ. أَيَّ أَخْرَجَ أَيَّ مَفْعُولٌ بِهِ مَنْصُوب. أَيَّ takes what, anything. أَيَّ شَيْءٍ, whatever thing, whichever thing. مضاف مضاف إليه. كَانَ صَاعًا, that was a sa'. Anything that was a sa', he takes it from it. So if he has corn, or if he has noodles, whatever he has, if he doesn't have those things mentioned here, he can take anything from his food that he can give to them that's going to be a sa'. Any questions?
No.
طيب, we'll read this and stop, inshallah ta'ala. Or would you rather just stop and then read it all at one time?
Whatever y'all want. Cool with me.
We'll stop here and we'll just read the whole chapter, inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow, bi'idhnillah, when we finish, inshallah. We don't have much more to go. We only have 1, 2, 3 short paragraphs, right? Or 4 short paragraphs. طيب. Jazakallah khairan. Hopefully it's clear for you guys. And hopefully it's beneficial. Read over it. Practice it. The Arabic of it. You guys should have the PDF with the vowels on it. And I'll send this PDF out when we're done, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Barakallahu feek.
Fiikum barak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.